switch. Paid for by people like you. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you do. No, 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 I don't care. No, no, I don't care. As you can see, I don't care. No, no, I'm not gonna give in. I'm an idiot for a living. No, no, never gonna give in. I'm an idiot for a living. I take home an arm's wage. I paid for a girl like you. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you do now. No, no, I don't care. No, no, I don't care. As you can see, I don't care. No, no, I'm not gonna give in. I'm an idiot for a living. No, no, never gonna give in. I'm an idiot for a living. I take home an arm's wage, and I take it every day. Your idea of work is my idea of pay. No, no, I'm not gonna give in. I'm an idiot for a living. No, no, never gonna give in. I'm an idiot for a living.
All right, so welcome to the Old Abbey Tap House Radio. My name's John, and I'm using these sessions to explore a question that I'm interested in. And that question is, how do people who are working in an arts environment go about earning their living? So today, I'm going to be talking to a friend of mine called Rachele Evaroa, and I'm going to let Rachele introduce herself. So over to you, Rachele.
Hi, John. How are you? Okay, so my name is Rachele Evaroa. I was always a barmaid, and then I was a musician, and I got signed at a young age, and then I realised I don't want to be part of the music industry. It was horrible. So I decided to go off and try and find a way that I could do music and still be me and still be happy. So I started off starting to run venues and putting on more events in Brighton. I set up a graffiti bar there. It all went horribly wrong. I lost a lot of money, but I learned a lot. And then I came to Manchester when I was 23, and I tried to be a social worker for a bit and realised again that's not for me. And it wasn't until I got to Manchester that I understood about community events and social enterprises a bit more. And then over the last 10 years, I've just tried to explore ways where you can bring together people through spaces and create community. And I really think partly it's political. I think one of the worst aspects of neoliberalism is it's taking away spaces from the community. And if you don't have any spaces to socialise, then how are you going to meet your neighbours? How are you going to make those connections? And also, I really hate the aspect of neoliberalism where everything is a transaction. I think conversations are so important, and I think making people feel valued is really important. So I still don't know what I do. I work for a human rights charity. I'm director of the pub. I do freelance stuff. I do a bit, still do my music, but I don't make any money out of my music, and that keeps me sane and happy. So yeah, that's where I'm at now.
All right. So there's a couple of things I can ask you about. So you said you were signed at an early age. How did that come about, and What was the context?
I've always done like political punk music, and then I had a really bad car crash when I was 18, and I almost died, and then I almost was severely disabled for the rest of my life. So it took me a year and a half to walk again, and that was 3 times a week physiotherapy. It was really, really hard. And in that time, I was doing lots of music, and after that, I just got really determined, and I was like, what do I want to do in life? So I decided that I was going to become a singer-songwriter. So I literally went and did open mic gigs 3 days a week whilst I was working a horrible job at Little Chef. And it just kept me sane. And at the same time, I had fallen in with a bad crowd, as you say, and I had this horrible boyfriend. And so to get away from that scene and that drugs, I just went into my music full on. And that was amazing because I found my sense of self. But then when I got signed, so for example, I had to go for a session with the guy who wrote songs for Busted, and he told me that my songs were unpalatable, which I thought was hilarious because I was like, you write songs for Busted. And I realised really early on that in the music industry, I was never going to be allowed to be Rachel. I was going to have to be put into a nice box of, you know, pretty girl with a guitar that sings. And that wasn't for me. And I think now hearing some of the stories from people 10 years later who were in a similar position, there was a lot of sexual exploitation of young girls. And I think I was really lucky that I got out. I had a good experience enough to get out before anything like that happened, but I could see how easily it could have happened. And I think that's what I was picking up on when I was a young girl.
So what I'm thinking when you say that is that you seem to have a strong sense of what you need, even though societally that seems like quite a fantastic opportunity for a young person. And, you know, from the outside, most people would say, wow, you've got it made. But you seem to be quite okay with the fact that it wasn't for you, and therefore that's not what you're going to be doing.
Oh yeah. I have to give my credit to my car crash, because having spent a year and a half each day trying to learn to walk again, it really breaks down what's important in life for you and what makes you happy. And having almost died a few times, you really do have a lot of time to think about what is the meaning of life, especially I was 18.
A few times.
I almost died 4 times. I got septicemia. The guy with the same injuries next to me came back with half a leg. And so there was a lot to think about and a lot to do. So I think after that all happened, I had post-traumatic stress and I went a bit crazy for a year. And then when I remember coming home, and my mum's a single mum, and before the car crash, me and my family had been really broken up, and it kind of brought us all back together. And I remember my mum saying, you're home, you're safe, and just encouraging me just to be grounded, which I've always found really hard because I've got ADHD. And I just think, there was a couple of examples. So another time I got signed quite a few times. I got signed 3 or 4 times, and each time kind of went through the same process where actually I was like, this is awful. So I got sent down to record a song with some people in Portsmouth, and they made me do a rap that went, like a porn star, I'm going to come harder. And I did it because it was awkward if I said no to do it. But I went home that night and I just couldn't sleep. And I was like, what have I done? And I just don't want to be, I'm the sort of person that I can't have those contradictions in my life. I can't be saying one thing and then be saying another thing. It really hits me in my soul.
Yeah. So are you playing music currently? Yeah.
So I was so lucky because when I came to Manchester, I met some of my bestest friends ever, and they're all in my band. So Craig's one of my best mates. So we started putting on nights together. We started putting on club nights. He was in a quite big gigging ska band. I'd been in a big band down south, but we decided that we were going to start doing stuff together in Manchester. And it was really funny because when I came to Manchester, the punk scene in Manchester wouldn't accept me, even though I've opened for all the big bands down in London. They didn't think I was punk enough, which I just think so throughout my life, everyone's always told me what I am, or how I'm not good enough, or how I'm not this enough. It's the same with the gay scene. I'm not gay enough. I'm not this. And I just find it really funny to be on that outsider. When you're always the outsider, you just have a different perspective and a different viewpoint, and you're not bothered about being accepted. And I think it's so much better because I managed to find my true band, and our band isn't about who's talented, it's about the feeling we have when we're together. So and our band is like a family, and we all know each other really well, we all hang out together, and for us playing gigs is an adventure, it's fun. And the reason why I think it's so fun is that we don't try and make a living out of it. And I think as soon as you try and make a living out of music, because it's so hard, you'll start getting all the pent-up resentments and pushing people, whereas because we're very clear about what Galavantes is about, it's about protest band, about having fun and adventures, it makes it really a nice space to be in. Whereas when in the past, when I've had to make money out of my music, you suddenly have all these critical voices, you start thinking about who the audience you're making music for is, and it changes the experience. And I think lots of people will say that if they're about making money from your art is a different process from just enjoying the art you make. And then another take I'd say on that is, what's it called? About 5 years ago, one of the art charities that had trained me up closed down, and they brought in this artist, I think he's called John Gill, and he's just epic. And he managed to put into words what I'd felt for years. And he talks about how capitalism has taken over the role of the artist to make products. And what I can never understand about what I used to do is I've always come up into places, taken over venues, run venues, and created this events around them and people and connections, and brought loads of people in. And I couldn't understand the words for what I did, and he put it into words for me. So I'm a process artist. Like, I couldn't give you a product for you to sell, but I know you can put me in a venue, or you can put me in a festival space, and I can bring together loads of people and create a feeling, which is a different thing to a product.
Yeah, there's a quote by one of the Hacienda DJs. I can't remember who it was, but he said, "I'm the architect of a good time."
Yeah, totally.
So it's about the experience that he can facilitate, not about him or the music.
And then to be honest as well, that has given me so much comfort, because it is like, I've lost my edge now, but when I was a young club promoter, I wanted to be the best club. I wanted to put the best club nights. I wanted to get the most people. I didn't want anyone to copy my ideas. And now I realise, because I've been doing it for 12 years, and how ruthless it is, and how people take your ideas, and, you know, there's still gangs around. There's loads of things behind the scenes people don't understand about club nights. Yeah, I just think now I'm like, actually, I just need to do what makes me happy. It doesn't really matter what anyone else is doing. And I really feel that people can sense when something's done with care and love, rather than copying or jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah, so integrity.
Integrity, yeah.
So it's clear from this section that my sort of way of breaking things down into what is your art practice and how do you earn a living? It's not as those boundaries are very blurred here, aren't they?
Yeah, for example, one of my most recent projects was the Tap House TV dinners, and that was joining up groups, so the Acorn, Gas Gun Project, and the Old Abbey Tap House, and looking at what we already do and what we could work on together. And it was about connecting with the community and the local residents and helping people. I don't know if that's artistic or not, but for me, that's being creative. I don't really mind as long as I get to think and I get to be me.
And do as well, because you're quite a dynamic person, aren't you?
Yeah, and it is always about helping people, and that's what I get really, whenever I get sad about this sector or this scene, is the fact that like Rupert Murdoch's daughter has been in charge of the Art Council for the last 5 years. There's a real push for neoliberalism within the arts. And like, I'm from a quite poor single parent background, and I think I only got into this through following my passion for punk music, and that was one of the small ways to get into it, and my gran buying me a cheap guitar. But I don't see how people from my background can even access the arts nowadays. When I was 16, you were still allowed to go to the punk gigs in pubs, and they've cut that off. So for me as well, it's however far I can get in the arts world, I want to open up all those doors for people, and I want to bring people up with me, and I want to do it with other people. I don't want to, it's not about my own glory or ego.
All right, so just to pursue that comment that you made about Rupert Murdoch's daughter, is it? So how do you think that you talked before about the definition of art and how, that person explained what you do that enabled you to understand what you do more clearly. How do you think those two different understandings of art clash? Rupert Murdoch's daughter controlling this funding pot of money and deciding what projects get money.
Well, the funding system as a whole is bullshit. So they keep saying, I keep going to these art council things, I keep telling them it's stupid, no one can access them. So for example, I've been trying to do artist funding bids for the last 5-6 years. The last one we submitted, it had me, my business partner who's got a PhD, Yana who's got a PhD, 2 business consultants, and we still didn't get anything. So I don't know what the magic formula is. And also the way they categorise things in the Art Council or other funding too. They want to break it down to how many black people, how many gay people, how many women, how many this. And I just help everybody. I don't have, everyone is welcome in the pub. We don't specifically aim to get anyone. We just help whoever needs the help. And the model's not set up for that. They want to break you down into little ethnic groups or sexuality groups. And I think that plays into identity politics, and it makes it even harder to do some sort of work because people feel alienated and segregated. And my work's the opposite of that, is bringing people together regardless of where you're from or your work of life, and just making sure that you have a space to meet other people and reflect.
Yeah, so that leads on to the question of how do you fund those activities then? So
like, this is the thing. For years I tried to get an art charity job and I kept coming second, and they kept telling me that I was too much of an ideas person, too much of this. But at the same time, me and Craig had set up our events company, and we were just putting on club nights, reinvesting everything, putting on more nights, reinvesting it. And when we got the pub, it wasn't, we had no money. We had $1,000 each to open this pub. There was no stock, there was no pizza oven, there was no kitchen equipment.
How did you get the pub? How did you get the pub?
So what we used to do for our club nights is go out and find venues which were underused, and we were trying to. So we did Salford, we did we would go and find really unusual venues, and so we used to go and scope out all the areas, and we just found this pub and Merrick, and then Craig had made friends in Merrick, and then I came and worked here for a bit, and then we asked him if we could clear up the upstairs of the building for our storage and for our band room, and so we did that. And then Merrick decided he was going to give up the lease of the pub. And we just didn't want to see, we didn't really want to lose our band room. But we went and wrote a really good business plan. We went and consulted some people. And then we managed to get a meeting with the head of Bruntwood, the head of MSP, and he agreed to it. So I just want to show people, you don't need money. Everyone goes on about needing money and funding. And actually, if you're just resourceful and you use your brain, you can do it. But it is a different way of being, and the thing I'd say about me and Craig is we both come from, Craig used to squat and I come from the squat party scene, so we're very used to being DIY, and in that scene you just get things done. You don't try and worry about the different what's stopping you from getting it done, you just do it. With the pub, on one thing we had no carpet, so I just went to the carpet shop down the road and charmed the guy, and he gave us all the offcuts from the carpet from the thing. So honestly, people do care. If you show you're a good person, you're doing it for the right reasons, people will help you out, I think.
So you arrive in the pub, you got the lease, is it? The permission to use the pub.
Yeah.
You arrive there with $2,000, $1,000 each in your pockets.
Yeah.
You've already got experience putting on club nights, and you've already got your band room upstairs where you rehearse.
Yeah.
So then how did you organise it?
So then we put on some nights, and we were very creative so we did a big festival in Ancoats called Through the Mill, and we did a deal with a friend who owns a brewery, and he gave us loads of beer on credit, and so we just did loads of things like that to get it going. It's like fundraisers, and what else is there? Yeah, it was just literally, it was really hard. I'm not gonna lie. It took us 1.5 years to build it all up. We had no central heating the first year.
So you're running it as a pub, but you're also doing these outreach events to try and earn some extra money at the same time. Is that how it was working?
Yeah, we were just doing whatever we could to make sure we were getting some sort of income and then putting it in. And then we did everything ourselves in the pub. So we used old wood we found around from the science park to build the furniture. We went to a reused paint place to get the paint, which was secondhand. We did all the work ourselves in the pub. So we painted it and stripped the floors and built everything ourselves. And that was really amazing because we had such a good group of people around us who came and helped. So I have to thank the Weirdos Activity Tribe because so many people came and volunteered and put their time in. Yeah.
So one of the things I interpreted, and this could be wrong, is that the fact that you use that outdoor space as essentially a performance space, that must have been a big boon. And the fact that it's in the science park, so you don't have any neighbours to get upset by performances. Is that right, or am I imagining that?
Oh no, I still get noise complaints. It's the best thing and the worst thing. But I've run 4 venues in Manchester, and it's really cutthroat business being a venue manager because if you build up the business, someone wants to take it off you, and someone wants your job. So I built up 3 different places before the pub, and then had it taken away from me in different nefarious ways. And so when I got this pub, the best thing about it was that I've worked with Craig for years and I trust him 100%, and I know that I can trust him. And so it was really easy for me to bring in all the people I knew from all the years to put on events. And then we have a really good reputation for the way we run the venue and how we deal with people and the vibe we create at the pub. But I have to say that the yard was terrible. The yard took us about a year to clean because we're the first people that have actually cleared all the way back and used it as a beer garden. It's just used for storage. So that alone took months and months and months just to clear out that yard.
All right, so it wasn't an easy solution. It wasn't like a eureka moment. Oh, we can use that space next door as a venue. It sort of worked eventually, slowly but surely.
I think if you go back far enough, you'll find there's some video on the internet before we even had the pub of us doing an outdoor gig here. So yeah, we'd had the idea ages ago, like years ago, and then just built it up from there.
Yeah, so as well as it being a pub, you've got like your music room upstairs and you've got your venue, if you like, outside.
Yeah, we tried to make it a multi-use space. So every room can change around, and my favourite times in the pub was when there's like an activity on in each room. And I mean, one night we had a lecture about gynecology downstairs, followed by a Dutch band, and upstairs we had a film club and a band going on. I love days like that at the pub because, yeah, people just need space, and then that's in shortage of around here.
Yeah.
And that's something no one ever talks about, is like, how are you meant to do community engagement? How are people meant to come together if there's no space for them to come together? People can't even do it in their own houses now because we've all been squeezed so much. Yeah.
Yeah. I won't say what I was going to say. I'll say something else.
Sorry.
No, it's off at a tangent, so it's not going to do it. But what I was going to say is that I think it's an interesting relationship that you're talking about in relation to money and income, and almost like in contrast to relationships that you have with people. So you talked about calling upon when you, because you trusted Craig, you were happy to contact all those people you've dealt with in the past, and they were happy to deal with you in this new situation, obviously because of the relationship you've developed. So I think that idea of relationships and developing relationships as opposed to forming businesses that generate income are 2 different ways of thinking about the process of putting on events, perhaps. I don't know if you've got any thoughts on that. Did I make it clear, or was it a bit?
So you're saying that having the network of people and then having...
Yeah, so I suppose what I'm thinking is that in a non-money economy, perhaps the relationships you have with other people are more important because you're dealing with people. You're not buying a product and you're not buying a commodity.
I would say that's true of our close crew of people who we've run the nights with. So Swing and Shout is Sophia, Wolfie, Claire, Jez, me, Craig, and then so Wolfie and Sophia are really fantastic performers. They get paid loads to go and perform, but they'll come and perform for us for mates rates or for free because they get what this is about. And I think I don't want to sound ungrateful, but I've had enough of dealing with musicians and artists after 15 years because I'm a musician and artist, and all my staff are musicians, artists, DJs, graphic designers, but they're happy to have a job that pays the bills and then do their art for free. And I do get a bit annoyed about these musicians that expect me to bring in all the people to their gigs, me to pay them for their gigs, and me to do all the work. And having been a promoter, musician, and a venue owner, I can see it from all different sides, but I think the venue owners always get the short shaft because we have to pay for all the staff, we have to pay for all the equipment, we all have to pay for the bands, and we have to pay for the promotions. And I don't get me wrong, I feel sorry for musicians and artists too, but we're part of Music Venue Trust, and music venues don't get any funding from the Arts Council. We don't get the funding to invest in all this equipment too. So if you come across a moody venue owner, let me tell you, it's because they're tired and stressed out. It's not because they hate you. It's just, imagine every day someone ringing you up about a needle they left in your pub a year ago and asking you to find it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and this goes back to what I have to say is, we really need these small grassroots venues that, like the old Abbey Tap House, because at the moment we've invested in our music industry at the stadium level. So at the stadium level, we have all these big name artists like Ed Sheeran, blah, blah, blah. But even Ed Sheeran will tell you he had to play at all these small venues to get there. And now these small venues don't exist anymore. So we might have a great creative music industry export at the moment, but in 10, 15 years time, these artists are all going to be out of favor. And how are we developing the new audience? And also I go back to the fact that when I was growing up, live music was part of your growing up to be a teenager. You went to live music gigs, then you went clubbing, and it kind of made you have a bit of better taste in music, I think. Whereas nowadays, a lot of kids can't go into anywhere till they turn 18, so they miss out on that 16 to 18-year-old bit where they get to hang out with older people, they get to experience different places like a pub, like a music venue, without having that complete freedom. And now I think a lot of teenagers skip out the local music and live music scene and go straight to these, like Fifth Ave and stuff like that, and miss out on the experience that live music can give you as a kind of community side, or clubbing can give you as a community side, rather than just a pulling, get drunk thing.
Yeah, there's a similar discussion for, I'm older than you, but like the Smiths, for example, spent a lot of time on the dole.
Yeah.
So a lot of their back catalogue was developed on this low income creative subsidy that's not available now to people.
So it's the new enterprise allowance, so I came up through all of them. I graduated from uni, I'd worked all the way through uni, went and signed on. I did the Blue Orchid course, the Princess Trust course, the Can Do It course, the Community Arts Northwest course. So there were so many courses. I was really lucky that trained me up for free when I was broke, and then I was on benefits for a good 3 or 4 years, or the new enterprise allowance and working tax credits whilst I was trying to build up my career. And now, because of Factory coming to Manchester, the big arts centre, they pulled all the funding for the small arts charities in Manchester that did all this training. So I don't even know what is even left now, even though, that it was hard enough then to do it. I really think our country's got the arts completely wrong. I think we should do a system like in France, where every artist gets paid 15 grand a year. There's nothing to prove, or to prove they do a gig. Same with PRS. I hate PRS with a fucking passion. PRS owes me thousands of pounds in royalties over years, which I've never received. And just before lockdown, they were trying to chase this pub for a massive bill for PRS.
PRS, what is PRS?
PRS is Performance Royalty Society, and every musician signs up. You're meant to be able to sign up to it, and they're meant to pay out the royalties equally, but they don't. They pay it out to Oasis, Blur. They have it. The bigger bands always do better out of it. and it's basically bankrupt loads of small venues. So they want about up to like 15 grand a year from a venue like mine. And they've also changed the scope of it. So if you ever want to have a fun day out at a conference, go to Music Venues Trust and watch the PRS thing, because we all boo him, we hate them. But yeah, so PRS is meant to be there to support artists. It doesn't support artists. They've changed the rules. So they're now saying that any gig under 80 people I have to pay for. So regardless if I put an open mic night here and one person comes, I have to pay as if there was 80 people coming to it. And then the biggest gripe I had was they're trying to charge me for all the gigs my band did here for free that I put on myself. They want me to pay them for it, even though my band's not going to receive any royalties from it. So I just don't get. So the arts world it's really frustrating for someone who comes from like the squat DIY background, where we could just go and put on a rave, get away with it, not have to pay any taxes. Coming into a system where I really think it's really important we have the Old Abbey. I think it's important we have people on payroll. I think it's important people have proper jobs and a living. But there's a bit of me is like, why the fuck should I have to play by the rules when the rules are so twisted and so... So thing. And then I think, in a way, I do think coronavirus has shown which organisations actually do stuff and which are the well-paid fat cats that do fuck all.
Yeah, I'd agree. And you use that as a sort of turning, I won't say opportunity, but a turning point where you changed what the pub did, didn't you?
Yeah, of course. But if I'm being really honest with you, me and Craig aren't very good at every day running the pub. We're better in crisis mode. If there's a crisis mode, we both buzz off it. But if it's just a general running a pub, but I like the buzz of it. So Craig was so forward thinking with coronavirus. He had friends in Italy and he was really following it as an academic, and he predicted it before the council. So the day before the lockdown, we had the 2 councillors here and the neighbourhood team, and Craig was telling them, look, we're going to lockdown, this is the food provision we want to do. And the next day we went into lockdown and they didn't even see it coming. And then just with Craig was like, we should do community food, and then we pulled together the groups we know and managed to do it. And it really wasn't hard for us to do as a business. And also thinking in the long term, this model could be used by other pubs or other cafes if we're going in and out of lockdown, because it allows you to have that connection still with the local residents, to do something good for your community, which a lot of small businesses do anyway, and to stay open as well. But I don't know. And unfortunately, everyone's going on now about hyperlocal, but the hyperlocal solutions get overlooked all the time because they're not these nice big glossy things that you can do around the UK and, get a CEO for £100,000 to lead the project, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's illustrated in practice by the fact that the science park, you've got the science park as we know it, which is, am I right in thinking it's mainly closed?
Yeah, it's been completely
I know
shut.
some elements are open, but when I went into university, it looked pretty close to me.
Yeah, there's only, I think, 1 or 2 businesses that had to stay on site because they got labs working. So,
and then there's your pub in the middle.
Yeah,
that's busy doing stuff.
Yeah. Do you know what's really funny though? About last Wednesday, we've had this horrible man standing outside the building with a van, and he's collecting sample swabs. And I thought it had something to do with the science park, but it has nothing to do with the science park. And then I found a swab with someone's details he'd just left on the floor in the car park. And so I just went over to him to ask him who he was. And he kicked off at me, started screaming at me. I think there was Sodexo, the outsourcing company. But then the guy had the cheek to go to me, we're essential workers, you're just a pub. And then I really lost my temper there and told him to F off. But I was like, that's the thing I get all the time. It's like, you're just a pub or you're just a barmaid. And I was like, I don't care. But I know we're not. We do so much more. We do loads of actors and we really, really do help people. But I don't need to make a song and dance about it. And yeah.
So let's go on to one of my official questions. So what about some of the highlights in your career to date? What are the things that you value?
Like, the things that make me really happy are people like will write me notes or a message, or like my friends mentioned one of our club nights met this how they ended up moving to Manchester and stuff like that, and that's really what I think is the highlight for me. Like, it's been really sad over coronavirus, and I've had to do a few drops which I found really, really, really hard, and like I've gone home and cried because I was like, that family should not be in that situation. And
you're talking about your TV dinners project.
Yeah, talking about TV dinners, but in general, like the last 2.5 years in Moss Side and Hume have been really tough. There's been Windrush, there's been austerity. I've had a friend die because she was told she was fit to go back to work, and then the next day she had a brain tumor. It's, for me, it's been really tough anyway the last 2 years. But it's the little stories of how we can all come together and how we work together, which I think are amazing, like the Tap House TV dinners. Oh no, I'm good, thank you.
And what about, all right, so the opposite end of the spectrum, and you might have already touched on that. What about the low points when, you know?
Yeah, the low point has definitely been when we almost got evicted from the pub, and the Science Park have now apologised-ish, but they didn't behave very well, and they wrote a letter to the MP trying to make out that I was violent, I was a drug addict, and that I had an illegal brewery in the basement. And it was so funny because I'd just been made the community leader for Hume, and so all the councillors knew me, and I'm really not violent. What had happened is me and my friend had been walking down the street, and these two young girls tried to mug us. And then my friends are youth workers, so we couldn't fight back. We ended up in a brawl with them where we didn't fight back. And then the police asked the Science Park for the footage of it. So to turn that around to that I'm violent and I go around attacking people, that really upset me. But the best thing about being evicted was that it made me and Craig realise how much we loved the pub. And it made me realise what a good network of people I had around me, because all these people were offering to help. There's people offering to collect dog poo to throw at the buildings. Not that I would condone that, but do you know what I mean? I think there's power in not having anything. And I thought it's hilarious because I was living in my friend's lovely summer house at the bottom of the garden, and I really had no money. I have nothing to lose. You know, take the pub from me, that's fine, but I have nothing else. But I know that I have such a good group of people around me that I'm always going to be all right. I'm always going to land on my feet. That, you know what I mean? Whereas I think other people, a long time ago, a friend said, don't put your eggs in one basket. And that's how I feel about life. I'm like, I care and I do anything for this pub, but I can still go on to do something else. If you take this away from me, I'll probably go and set up another space.
Yeah. So it's the social capital that you value, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
The relationships and the network of relationships that gives you the ability to move around and do projects.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So where am I up to? So in relation to your practice, or whatever that is, because we've already established it's very blurred boundaries. What, have you got an idea where you're going with things? Have you got anything in the future that you're looking forward to doing, or?
Yeah, do you know what? I've the last few years, I went from I've never been apolitical, I've always been political, but I've got more that I've had enough. I've really, really had enough of what's going on in our society, and I've really, really had enough of the people who say they want change, but they don't do anything to change. And I've really had enough of the funding system. And so I'm just looking at ways what we can do at the pub that gives us more freedom. And in the other side, I'm working for the Robert Kennedy Human Rights UK Foundation. And we're working on community feasts and this Ripple Roads Festival in 2020 in February. But what I'm really keen on doing at the moment, and there's been a gap in this for ages, but lots of the food charities and us ourselves, we don't want to be handing out food. We don't want it to become a reliance thing. We want to be empowering people. And what I've learned so many times is that informal networks around events are really powerful for if something happens. So Windrush is a prime example where, because of the informal networks around the pub and around Naya Moss, we could get loads of people together really quickly to fight an issue. So my next work is looking at ways how I can bring community groups together to turn them into mutual aid groups, which could do some of the community work or similar community work to what we're doing at the pub really easily. So yeah, that's a big one.
So like facilitating grassroots coordination and connection.
Yeah. So like, I really want to go and scope out a load of venues which have commercial kitchens and try and get a group of people around there and then train them up through hands-on activities, a bit like the stuff we're doing as well with the Neolithic things. But I've just realised in my work with Robert Kennedy, I have to do loads of talks about human rights and loads of different groups of people. And I say this in the nicest way to people who overuse social media, but social media is not the way to have conversations, and everything's got so fucking binary on the internet. You can't have a real conversation with people. And I see all my friends just fighting and falling out. And I really just wish they could come and see the work that I do, where you get a group of 40 people together who don't know each other, who might not even like each other. But by the time you've gone around the room and had a talk from understanding where they're coming from, it gets people on the same level again. And then you can have a conversation. But at the moment, because of social media and because how we're all being played into binaries and little sound bites, we can't have that online. It doesn't work. And I'm sick of social media activism. It doesn't work. If you really, really care about something, get back out in the community, go and start volunteering for a local community thing. But social media is not the place for activism. And it's a cop-out, I think, for doing something real. And I know, and I'm not saying that in a nasty way, but I just feel like there's so much need for people to volunteer and help out. In loads of the food charities, everyone's about to lose their volunteers, they're going off furlough. Like there's so much difference you can do in a hands-on person. And also the value of just listening. People need to listen. Sorry, I know I've talked just loads here, but sometimes your opinion doesn't matter. Sometimes you just need to listen. And I can't state that enough to people, but you're not always going to be accepted, not always going to share your views, and that's okay. You can just listen. But I think I am very lucky because I grew up abroad. I came one time, we moved to England on a boat from a war zone, so I got that experience. And I think, as I keep saying, having that experience of being the outsider, it just allows you to see the whole picture a lot more, and not be emotionally bound to the conversation.
So a couple of things that I'm thinking about when listening to you is that many of the experiences that people would traditionally class as negative. So, for example, was it a car accident?
It was really, well, I crashed my car with my friends in it, and then my friend got stuck in the car for, I think, 6 hours. And so they came to hospital and told his parents and my mum that I'd killed him. So then they started trying to put manslaughter charges against me as well. And then my friend survived, and he was amazing, never held it against me. But yeah, I had a court case against me. I almost went to prison for it as well. So yeah.
But what about the effect on you? The physical effect?
Physical, well, the mental effect too, because the court case went on for 1.5 years too. So imagine trying to rebuild yourself to work. The mental effect was just thinking what my life was going to be like, not being able to walk, or if I didn't manage to recover. And that's no disrespect to anyone who is disabled. I was just 18, and it was just the beginning of my life, and being that ill. Yeah, so I don't know, I'm not very good at, I've still got post-traumatic stress from it, where I can't, the sound of broken glass would just send me off.
Well, when you were talking about it earlier, you talked about it as something that you had to thank for giving you a particular
Totally. And
world now.
one of the reasons I'd say I have to thank people is the sense of humour I got from it, because the NHS workers who looked after me were just so funny and so amazing. And just imagine, I was an 18-year-old weepy crying girl. It was the end of the world for me. I couldn't stop crying. I was in this ward with all these motorcyclists, and they were awesome too, because we used to sing songs like "Get Up, Stand Up," and we couldn't all walk. So yeah, that was a really good experience for me, of just being around these kind of tough nurses and tough motorbike people who are a bit like, oh, come on.
So these, what could be perceived as negative experiences, you've used them in a way to change your life, and in a positive way. And the other thing that I've written down is about the way you value the social networks and the social capital, if you like, that you build up through how you deal with people, the relationships that you build. So building relationships, which I suppose I'm interested, because I'm thinking about it in contrast to the anonymous money economy that's really not working at the moment.
Totally.
And so what are the other ways?
Sorry.
No, it's an interesting topic. What are the other ways of being in the world that allow us to operate successfully when we've got a money economy that we've been brought up with that's just not working, and not working for the majority of people, I would say.
Definitely. And also on top of that, the sense of shame. Like, I remember my late 20s, I felt so ashamed of myself for not being successful in these ways. And now I get to work with loads of young people who are all fucking amazing and talented and really, really talented, and they can't get any jobs. And they've started to feel that shame. And I keep having to say, no, it's not you. That shame you're feeling, it's not you. It's this neoliberal society where they put the shame on you, but the shame shouldn't be on us. The shame should be on the politicians. It should be on the state people, because all I see is lots of hardworking people where everything is against them all the time.
So do you think this label of artist might be part of that issue, where we've got expectations of what we should be and how we should be and how well we should do it? Whereas in fact, you know, as we've sort of talked about, you've got a number of different areas that you're engaged in, all providing different things for you, whether it's an income, whether it's connection with people, or whether it's expression of your music. And so it's much harder to categorize you, and it's much harder to say, well, it's much harder to categorize you and to say where you fit and how well you're doing. Yeah, because another conversation that I had, I can't remember the context, but we were saying how sometimes it's difficult to say you're an artist because there's so many expectations around what that means. And in many ways, you know, in this instance, it was easy to say, oh, I'm a maker, because you make stuff. You know, everybody gets that. That's okay. But if you're an artist, you sort of separate yourself out in some ways. And
to be honest, I don't care about status. So if someone's been a dickhead to me, and I went to a wedding recently and people were like, oh, so what do you do? So I'll tell them I work for the Robert Kennedy Human Rights Foundation. And then they'll be like, and other times I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm just a barmaid at the pub. I don't care. Like, if you really care about who I am and what I do, then, do you know what I mean? And if you judge people by what they do, there's such a pathetic way. And also some of my friends, what book is it? I think it's The Ragged Trouser Philanthropist. But he has this vision where you can't just be an artist. Everyone has the ability to be an artist. I think you need to be all-rounded. I think you need to be a bit of a grafter, a bit of an artist, a bit of a thinker. You know, like, I think, so I'm really lucky that I get to do my project management stuff, which is all laptop-based. But when I get bored of that, I can do my event stuff, which is hands-on. I still wash up the dishes in the kitchen at the pub. You know what I mean? I'm on furlough at the moment, so I'm not doing that at the moment. But do you know what I mean? Like, just think that it's so stupid to think that you can only be one thing. You can be lots of different things at the same time.
Yeah. So, last question. If you were talking to a younger person who was interested in the arts, interested in going out, interested in playing music, what sort of guidance or advice would you give them based on your experience?
Do it with your friends. If you do it with your friends, with your best friends, it's always fun. It's always you're doing it with your mates. Whereas if you do it on your own, it's really tough. It's a really lonely, hard career. It's really competitive. And I think the things that always kept me sane when I haven't been successful in the art charity world is that I've got my group of my friends which I can do anything with anytime I want, regardless if someone gives me funding or not. Also, like, you have to be so thick-skinned and you have to persevere. I think I've had about 3 nervous breakdowns probably throughout the last 10 years from poverty, the stress, and it's really, really hard. And it is a middle-class enclave as well, so you've got to be ready for all of that. And also, the thing I find really frustrating about it all is my dad's Polynesian, so technically I'm BAME, but I'm not BAME enough for the Art Society. And then the same with being LGBT, I'm not gay enough to be a gay artist. And so be prepared that they will try and put you in a little box and then you'll be stuck in that box. And it's really frustrating and it has an impact on your mental health. I have quite a few friends who get stuck in the BAME category, and they're talented theatre producers. They're not talented black theatre producers, but the way the system's set up to try and break through that dynamic is really frustrating. And I do find it frustrating with some of the people in the art world, because they're not bad people and they consider themselves liberal, but they don't understand that they're part of the problem through their liberalness of thinking they're not part of the problem. And yeah, so I just think, I don't know if I'd recommend to young people going to arts world. I think do something that pays the bill and do what you love artistically just for the love of it, and then you'll be happy, is what I can say.
Right, that's a good way to draw it to a close.
Yeah.
They tried to get me with a TV show, but I wouldn't have none of it, no, no, no. Standards and values on a living room screen. Sarah Jessie Parker acting mean. She's got it all, that's what they want you to think. But if you read between the lines, you'll see the missing link. She's just a puppet in their indoctrination plan. Be like me, girls, and become a real man. Live to the full, always act flash. Don't use your brains when your body makes the splash. Oh yeah, oh yeah. But I've got it all up here, see, oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, they think they got it all out there, see. Well, they can fuck off, cause they ain't got me, and they can't buy my dignity, oh yeah, oh yeah. Let me tell you, I got it up here, see. They tried to get me in the supermarket store. Bought what I wanted and they said buy more. Mountains of crap that nobody really needs. Bright colored wrappers to suit assorted greeds. They know it all, that's what they want you to think. But if you read between the lines, you'll see the missing link. Buy this product, pay for the crap. 1/4 for the product, 3/4 for the wrap. Be a happy family like the people on the pack. Pay up to the profit and you'll never look back, oh yeah, oh yeah. But I've got it all up here, see, oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, they think they got it all out there, see. Well, they can fuck off, cause they ain't got me, and they can't buy my dignity, oh yeah, oh yeah. Let me tell you, I got it up here, see. They tried to get me with their learning and their books, their deep understanding and intelligent looks. All of the time, they never ever saw me. They were just looking for what they wanted to see. They know it all, that's what they want you to think. But if you read between the lines, you'll see the missing link. The books are easy backups for what they do to you. They'll bind you up as slaves for the privileged few. Prove lies with history, say that's how it always was. Slavery or mastery, be one of us, oh yeah. Oh yeah, but I've got it all up here, see, oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, they think they got it all out there, see? Well, they can fuck off cause they ain't got me, and they can't buy my dignity, oh yeah, oh yeah. Let me tell ya, I got it up here, see? They tried to get me with religion and with Christ. They said I'd get to heaven if I acted real nice, but they were just preparing a crucifix for me, a life of guilt, of pain, of holy misery. They know it all, it's what they want you to think, but if you read between the lines, you'll see the missing link. The Bible's just a blueprint for their morality scam, another load of shit about how it's never been. They stand there in the pulpit, doling out their lies, offering forgiveness, then they talk of eyes for eyes, oh yeah. Oh yeah, but I got it all up here, see, oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, they think they got it all out there, see? Well, they can fuck off cause they ain't got me, and they can't buy my dignity, oh yeah, oh yeah. Let me tell ya, I got it up here, see? They tried to get me, but I won't be got. They say I'm a misfit, but I say I'm not. I never set out to exploit another. Those smarmy bastards would steal from their mother. They got it all, that's what they want you to think, but if you read between the lines, you'll see the missing link. They plundered and slaughtered in the name of truth. Acceptance of normality is what they want from you as proof. They think they've got the answers, but there's something that they miss. Their cup which overfloweth is just filled up with piss. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, well I got it all up here, see, oh yeah, oh yeah, well I think they got it all out there, see, well they can fuck off cause they ain't got me, and they can't buy my dignity, oh yeah, let me tell ya, I got it up here, see, oh yeah, well I got it all up here, see, oh yeah, well they think they got it all out there, see? Well they can fuck off cause they ain't got me, and they can't buy my dignity, oh yeah, let me tell ya, I got it up here, see?